Well, hey, everybody, we're here live on the Special Operations Equipment Facebook page, Living Free in Tennessee YouTube page, and the Living Free in Tennessee Odyssey page, all at one time from one feed. I've got John Willis with me today. John, tell us hello.
Hey, what's up?
So, I thought it'd be fun to get you on today and talk about self-reliance, especially after the proclamations of last evening from Mr. Biden, who apparently thinks he can force us all to get the jab. So, why do you think self-reliance is important now than ever?
Well, I think it always was. I think this has just kind of brought it to the top, to the forefront for everybody. We've been screaming from the rooftops for the last really 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
For me, it started as a kid watching Nostradamus and watching Red Dawn and Escape from New York and things like that. So it was kind of just as a kid, it was kind of a fun thing. We were hiking and, shooting and, playing with knives and stuff.
Yeah.
As you get older, it's more of a lifestyle, right? So it's just producing food and making food, and all the cool stuff comes with it still. You see a lot of guys in the forums, in the groups, and it's always, the gear and the gadgets and things like that. Whereas if you want to get your wife, your woman, your spouse, your significant other sold on it, you have to make it more realistic. You can still do the fun stuff, but the fun stuff's not going to feed you. And I think kind of the ultimate goal of a survivalist, a prepper, is ultimately a homestead, right? To where you can reside there, you can be there full time. It's not just an escape to some cabin, some hole in the woods that you go to, maybe twice a year.
Yeah, the hole in the woods concept is really alluring, I think, when people start thinking about being prepared. I'm going to live my life the way I want to here, and then I'm going to go there if I have to. But they fail to think about what it's like to be in that little cabin by yourself for 6 months, a year, 2 years. What can be fun for 2 weeks in the summer may not be so fun for 3 months in the winter. And so I think you're right on when you say prepping becomes a lifestyle. And it's kind of funny you say that, because I didn't know I was a prepper for a long time. And then I stumbled across the Survival Podcast and listened to one of Jack's shows, and then another one. And I'm like canning my tomatoes and figuring out my pantry. And I was like, well, goddamn, I'm a prepper.
Yeah,
I
well,
had no idea. I thought it was just living.
Yeah, we call it prepping. Grandma called it Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know. Have you had a lot of people reach out to you since last night, worried about losing their jobs and what they're going to do to make money? Or have you had any of that in your network?
No, they've actually been pretty quiet, right? The guys I know with the bigger YouTube channels, for instance, are saying they're making 30 and 40-second videos going, hey, the conversation we're about to have can't be had here on YouTube. It's going to be over on Rumble. Now, we've got a lot of people reaching out. We have a lot of people coming here just as a destination, because they kind of want to see the things that we've been showing on social media, and they want to see it firsthand. We've got a lot of dudes wanting to work here. I don't have employment for them. Really, you could come to the middle of nowhere and live really, really well, but you have to have something. You have to produce something or have something people need. Like, you couldn't come here and survive with a coffee shop because people are complaining about 50-cent coffee already. But if you can we have electricity, we have shipping, we have internet. So really, you should be able to do any business whatsoever almost if you make a tangible product that you can ship out, and you can live really well here. And we could help facilitate that for people. But as far as coming and working here, we need skilled workers. We need people that can spin sewing machines. And for every one dude that comes here and is like, I'll take care of your animals, I'll do fencing, I'll cut material. For every one of those guys, I need 5 people running those sewing machines to justify one more person here.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. It's funny because the business I run is also, I'm actually training somebody to roast coffee right now, but it's taken me a year of working with that person to get to the point where I think they're going to be around enough to invest the time to teach them how to roast. And so somebody just showing up and saying, hey, I want to roast. Well, it takes me roughly 4 times as long to roast coffee when I'm showing somebody versus doing it, right? And then you have that repetition. So I think you're right on. To the extent that people can build what they're going to build, do it. We've got a question in from somebody, from Jimmy. I'm getting let go from my job for refusing the jab. It may cost me, but I have to stand on principle. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been saying, like, I'm not even getting tested, much less getting vaccinated.
Right.
I don't think there's any way they can do this. They definitely can't do it if you see. It's all going to come down to local law enforcement. Is the local law enforcement going to come to your establishment and hold you down? They're not coming here. Definitely not. Our local law enforcement's not. They're not going to roll federal guys from Nashville in here to mandate that and do that. I think it's just they're just throwing as much shit at the wall to see what they can stick. I also feel like it's watch this because there's something else going on that we're not seeing right now.
Well, we aren't talking about Afghanistan today, are we, in the news?
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody pointed that out earlier. You know, I heard a report, and it's one of those things I can't verify or say where, but there was somebody local in Tennessee who let me know a factory they're associated with. The managers came out to tell the workers, you know, vaccinate or we're going to let you go. And that manager ended up in the hospital.
From being
from the workers beating his ass. And so the other thing I'm seeing right now after this is like the tinder box is a lot more sensitive in just
there's smoke coming out of it right now.
Yeah.
We have a factory here, a sewing factory here. They employ anywhere from 100 to maybe 300-400 people, and it's like they hire 100 and they have them in a training program, and then they keep 2 of those 100. It's some kind of, they're moving taxes around. They have incentives and stuff for it.
Yeah.
I know that they just had like 10 people walk off their line a week ago, just over PPE stuff. And I don't know what the deal with it is. I don't know if they're getting paid unemployment. Who knows? All you know is secondhand. I don't know what's going on. I know that we have everybody still working here. I know we didn't close down a single day. I know that we've hired more people. I know that I would take more people. I know that most of my staff on payroll right now has been with me almost a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Out of 20 people that work here, 10 of them have been here at least 10 years now. And my newest person, I have 3 new people, but my 4th person has been here for years also.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just have people here. But as far as like the prepping and the survival and homestead stuff, like that's all built into my entire life. Everything I do is built in. Like there's a factory on the other side of this wall. I'm standing in a gym right now / garage that's 4,000 feet. It's a workshop. I've got tools over here. I've got a gym over here. I have more gym upstairs. I have farm animals all over the place. We've got ponds and food production on 10 acres of property, and it's all in one place. Everybody comes here. We do our work, and it all intermingles during the day. So we can oversee all of it. It's just all incorporated.
Yeah, and I've been there, and I love what you have set up. I think one of the things I notice when I visit there and I talk to your employees is they're stoked that they have access to the gym and to some of these other things. Like they can come there and work, but they can also work on themselves.
Yeah.
And I think as far as self-reliance, it goes beyond, you know, the food preps and the water preps and the learning security and first aid and all of the other things we talk about. If you are not healthy, you're not going to survive.
I get a lot of people mad at me for that, right? Everybody wants to talk about buying things and doing things. Yeah. And a lot of people, and I guess I am having conversations. People are reaching out to me more in the last few days, especially.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, and they're talking about, you know, hey, I got my homestead, or I've got, you know, some property, or I've got my garden in. I go, you know what you don't have? You don't have health.
Yeah.
And health for the most part is free. Yeah, I know there's some dude that is sick and can't do it, or, you know, bad back or whatever. But I also know dudes who have had limbs fucking blown off who redeploy in under 18 months and do 4, 5, 6 more combat deployments. So it's mindset, right?
Right.
And I don't have a gym. That's a bullshit excuse, right? Because outside is free. You can do push-ups, you can do body weight stuff. You know, a lot of people have kids that are way obese, way unhealthy.
Right.
And you are an example to that, right? So if you're in shape and your kids aren't, that's your fault. If your kids are out of shape, that's your fault. If you're out of shape, that's your fault. And everybody wants to buy another backpack or, buy some other gear or another gun or whatever it is, but they don't take even 30 minutes a day to work on them, because you go ahead and pile all that shit up, and when things get bad, you're just accumulating things for whoever's going to come and take advantage of you, because you're going to be a softer target. You're not going to be as much of a fight, and those times will come. Like, you better, if your plan is, well, I've got 10,000 cases of tuna, and I know my neighbor down the way has a pond and an extra cabin, and I'm going to provide the tuna. You better be of value. If you're not of value now, you are definitely not going to be of value then. If the power went out, immediately 10% of the population within the first week, and that's a real touchy number, right? That's a real soft kid glove number. But the power goes out, society keeps people alive. Society keeps people alive with breathing machines and medications. And I mean, you have kids, when power goes out in major cities for several hours to half a day, you have kids that commit suicide over not having social media. That's a parent issue. That is, you have allowed those kids to be raised by those devices. And we don't want to evaluate that. See, I get put in all these groups on Facebook that are these bug out bag groups and these prepper groups. And I'm like, holy shit, this is a survival group. There is no fucking way these people are going to survive.
Yeah. Well, and if you are hearing that and going, I might be guilty, start today. That's the thing. Absolutely. If you realize it, you can start walking every morning. That's what I did. I was running into I can't go to my gym. The pool's too far away, all of that. I wasn't quite ready to buy weights yet. And I was like, but you know what I have? I have dogs who love going on walks, and I can walk miles in the morning. It's awesome.
Take a bag, fill it with gravel, fill it with sand. If that's too heavy, fill it with corn. Just fill that thing and start going for a hike. Go for a walk. Take your animal, whatever it is. Take your kids.
If you can't do a pull-up, you hang like this and do that with your shoulders until you can do a pull-up. Those sorts of things. Okay, I got a question in here or a comment. Yeah, it's a question from Jaggy Little Thistle, who I happen to know who you are. Hi, Jaggy. Bartering, do you think that will be more prevalent in the future?
Absolutely, I think it will. I think that you should move a lot of your cash. See, unfortunately, I would say I've heard different numbers, right? But it's said that 80, 85, 90% of the U.S. population doesn't have more than $500 in their bank account. I know we pay our employees pretty well.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times when my employees have a catastrophic event, which is not even a physical event, it is my car stopped running. Oftentimes they don't have the money for it. They don't have the funds, just are not there. So with all the things going on in the world and all the COVID shit, maybe this is just a ploy to take money from people who are not vaccinated, right? In all of the good prepper fiction books, that is a very common theme, that they just come around and take all the money out of the U.S. bank accounts, because U.S. cash, we're not going to use cash anymore. We're going to give you F cards or a federal card or some nonsense, some food card. I tell people right now, take most of your money out of money and put it in hard assets, silver, bullets, gold, even Bitcoin. Like I personally buy Bitcoin every single day. I've got Ethereum. I've got Hex. I opened a Hex account and put probably $1,600 to buy Hex. A lot of that was Ethereum to move it.
Yeah.
I had $8,000 yesterday morning on under $2,000 investment from less than probably 90 days ago. I know a guy, and when I say I know a guy, I know
he literally knows the guy.
I've seen his wallet. I've seen his accounts. I know a dude's got $90,000 in there. I know another dude's got $1.7 million in there. These are real people, not some dude I know on the internet. So when Jack's talking about Bitcoin, I don't fully understand it, but I've watched it come up and down enough to know that I need to be there. And I know a lot of dudes with a lot of money, and they're maneuvering in those things. So, and with all the countries that are now taking it as a currency, that means it's a non-taxable event. When I hand Nicole a $20 bill, nobody knows about it, and she receives it, and she doesn't have to take it as an adjusted income. She doesn't have to pay any extra taxes on that. And that's what's happening. And there's more countries taking on Bitcoin right now that are receiving it as a taxable, as an actual currency.
That's absolutely true. It's funny when you get into the crypto world, I think it's important to start a daily habit of looking at the benchmark price of that every day, if it's Bitcoin that you get or Ethereum or any of them, and start developing a sense for the ups and downs of it, because it's a very volatile market. But you'll start seeing like it could happen, but I don't see Bitcoin going below 30,000 anytime soon.
Right. There's a lot of mornings when I wake up and I'm like, I have $10,000 more in Bitcoin this morning than I did last night. And then there's other mornings when I wake up and I'm like, holy shit, I lost $6,000 in Bitcoin. But that's looking at it as a daily basis. Like in something as simple as, I tell people who aren't familiar or comfortable with cryptocurrency, I tell them to get a Coinbase, just a Coinbase account, because it's so simple. And I tell people also buy silver and gold. I tell them not to buy it from AppMex because you're going to have you're going to pay sales tax for your state on that. And when you buy it off of groups on Facebook, they vet each other. So you'll see some dude selling something that seems like a good deal. You click his name and you see he's got 10,000 posts or 400 posts.
Yeah.
If there's a problem with that dude, you're going to know there's a problem with that dude. It's going to be like his first, second post. So when you buy from him, he puts it in a box and US Mail delivers it to you and you don't pay tax on it. So you can do that through Coinbase. You can do that with PayPal. But with the Coinbase account, you can link it to a bank account or whatever, and you can buy Bitcoin right through there. You can buy $1 in Bitcoin. You can buy $100,000 in Bitcoin on Coinbase.
Yeah.
And there's a on the graph, there's 1 day, there's 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, and total. So you can see when you see Bitcoin tank down, you're like, wow. Just move it out to a week and you'll see that it's really not down, or move it out to a month and you'll see it's really, really not down.
Well, I mean, I remember the first time it went up to $20,000 and I was like, right on. And then I would say it was down below 10, probably down to 3,000 again after that, or 3,500 right after that. And it stayed kind of in that $3,000 to $1,200 range for probably 8 months.
Yeah.
For a long time. And then all of a sudden it spiked back up again. And I think if you put all of your wealth into Bitcoin as your one-off thing, that's not exactly smart, because it can go up and down. And if that were to happen, right, that would be a problem. But getting to know it, even if you're in a situation where you literally don't have the ability to put something to buy Bitcoin right now, you can still watch it every day and learn. Jimmy's asking, what are some things that we as individuals should learn to be more valuable? So he wants to like skills they should learn to be more valuable.
How to make yourself more valuable?
Yes.
I mean, it's going to depend on the individual, obviously. When you walk into a group of people, what do you bring to the table? Do you have some knowledge that group doesn't have? Do you bring a bunch of equipment that they don't have? I mean, for instance, if you had a trailer that you were a welder fabricator and you rolled up on this property, that would probably be pretty valuable to me.
Yeah.
You would also have to have a bunch of shit with you. Like your truck better have some cool bumpers and you better have some racks on your trailer and stuff. You just rolling up here with a welder is no better than the welder I own that I can't use. It's just having a usable skill. If you are in a position right now where you're doing nothing, that's probably exactly what you're going to be doing when society collapses or during an emergency. You're going to be doing nothing and you're going to have to be rescued rather than being of assistance to somebody else. Guys that do things, they always do things. Guys who have made money, they can always make money. Guys who are in shape can always get back in shape. So, I mean, it just has momentum. I don't know you, so I don't know really how to answer that. I have a lot of people that want to come work here, and I make a lot of videos. And my videos, if you ever watched one of my Help Wanted videos, you would be like, man, this guy's an asshole. I would never come work for this guy. You got to come in here and move with purpose and move with urgency and act like what you're doing is important. And if you take those things, those tenets, and you apply those to anything you're doing in life, you will be more valuable. I tell them, brand new guys, when I hire them and they're working here for the first day and I have somebody teaching them, when I talk to them aside, I'm like, your goal should be able to outperform. You should want to outperform the guy teaching you this task. Act like that is the most important thing in the world. And before you know it, you will be doing more shit. You'll have another job. And a lot of times I'll hire a new guy that will outperform a dude who's been here for months. And the brand new guy will be making more money than the guy who's been here for months and be doing way more shit than the guy who's been here for months. And when another one of them dudes walks through the door, that original dude, a lot of times he's not here anymore. All you have to do is outperform the other guy.
Well, I think the other thing is learn how to work, right? I've got, Tactical Redneck here at the Holler Homestead. We had a fence go out on Tuesday this week, and it was an electrical fence. And I watched him because I was focused on other things that day. He went through the whole day, time after time after time, trying to troubleshoot and fix another thing to see if that was the problem, right? He spent probably 6.5 hours on this electrical fence and didn't give up and just kept going and going back to the store when he had to go back to the store. I think a lot of what I see when people want to come in and be that person that has a skill is helpful, but what's more important is that you can focus and work and not give up and keep going till the job is done. Somebody who has that ability and maybe not the specific skill that we're looking for in a community, they're going to have that skill because they're stubborn, and that's important. Yeah,
follow through. They just won't quit.
Yeah,
they won't quit. A lot of people will do what it takes to get the job. They won't do what it takes to keep the job. They like the idea of it. It's especially like with my videos. They see our videos. I don't know what they think it's going to be when they come here because we're pretty. We tell them exactly what it is. Like when I hire guys, like you're going to be pulling weeds. It doesn't matter if it's raining. It doesn't matter if it's hot outside. You're going to be pulling weeds. On the weekend, I pull weeds. If you don't do it, I have to do it. If you want to come into a business, man, if you want your boss to like you, do the shit your boss doesn't like to do. Figure out what that is. And it can be anything. And it's the simple stuff, man. If you're going to work at McDonald's and you're the fry guy, be the best fry guy there is. You won't be the fry guy very long. If you see trash on the floor, pick it up. If you see it's like your shopping cart people, right? Do you put your shopping cart in a corral, or do you leave your shopping cart in your parking lot? If you leave the shopping cart out in the parking lot, you're probably not some dude that I want around my crew.
Right.
You're just not going to make it. That's okay for you. You just can't be part of my crew because that's just how people are. It's just the attention to detail and just straight perseverance. But it's just part of being a good person. You just have to add value and you have to take care of your stuff. If you're not going to take care of your stuff, you're definitely not going to take care of my stuff.
Yeah, 100% there. So Jesse's asking, will you be teaching all grain beer brewing at the festival? So Jesse's referring to the Self-Reliance Festival that you and I have partnered up to do on October 23rd right there in Camden, Tennessee at Special Operations Equipment. And what we're doing is having people demo. It's all about self-reliance, things that bring more self-reliance. So anything from caring for your cast iron skillets to knife throwing to how to assess your property for security and figure out where the kill zones are if you actually do need to defend where you live. Canning, cheese making. The question is, will you be teaching all grain beer brewing at the festival? What do you think, John?
Jesse, do you know all grain beer brewing? Are you volunteering?
That's a great answer. So the way we're getting demos, guys, is if you go to livingfreeintennessee.com/self-reliance festival, you'll see that you can buy a ticket for $30 in advance. You can apply to give a demo. So if you know a skill that other people would benefit from, you can give a demo at the festival, or you can be a vendor. If you make something cool like soap or I don't know, throwing knives would be great. Anything along those lines. Smoked salt was at your last party. That was pretty badass.
Yeah, coffee.
Coffee. I'll totally be there with Holler Roast selling
bourbon,
coffee.
Bourbon,
moonshine, jams, jellies,
hamburgers. Joggy Thistle says, he had said, man, I kick myself for not getting in Bitcoin. You know when the best time to get in Bitcoin was? 10 years ago. You know when the next best time is? Right now. take $50 and just put it in Bitcoin. Bitcoin was down like $5,000 today. Buy Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay, man. Just buy Bitcoin. He also says, I don't have many skills, but the military trained me to be a medic. I'd say that's a pretty fucking important skill.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the demos I know we're getting is from a medic. It's showing you how to check vitals and keep people alive.
Yeah. Military medic skills are much beyond what an EMT or a paramedic is allowed to do in the civilian market. Especially if you've been around any deltas, any 18 Delta, that's a special operations medical technician. Those guys are literally trauma surgeons, kind of. Those guys are doctors that practice without a license. They actually have a program. You don't have to go through med school once you've been an 18 Delta. It's just you take some tests and it's a little program you go through and you become a doctor without going through all the doctor shit in the civilian market. But just having a dude that can or a veterinarian, like you would be great as a veterinarian.
Yes.
I'm not looking for the license. I'm looking for the dude that can tell me take this, do that, or can close my wounds. That's what I want.
Yep, that's pretty cool. We got one in here. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd say that's a pretty good skill, man.
Yeah, it's a great skill. Jaggy's knows his stuff in that regard too.
Plus, you know how to patrol. You know LPOP. You know a lot of things that most of the preppers are not prior service, right? You know basic patrolling. You know basic land navigation. You know a little bit of bushcrafting. I just bought pallets of concertina wire, triple strand razor wire. People don't know how to apply that. They don't know how to set it up. They don't know to put 2 on the base, 1 on the top. They don't know that to get the clip stuff because you can move it. Like we're buying all that shit. Why would I buy that if I think that I'm never going to use it? I really think that we're going to do a lot of that stuff. I have a lot of cars. I have a lot of toys. I haven't bought shit in 2 years other than infrastructure. I just drove I own 2 Porsches. I hadn't driven them in 24 months. They left the property a couple times just to rotate them and charge the batteries. I literally haven't done anything like that in 2 years. Everything has gone into fencing and wood and things that I think we're going to need for the future. If I'm doing that, somebody should probably watch what I'm doing because I can do pretty much at this point. I can do a lot of shit people can't do, and I'm not doing none of that shit. I'm doing the simple things.
That's badass. So Jesse says yes. Jesse can do all grain brewing, but won't be at the festival, which makes me sad because that would be the perfect demo. I do actually I've done some outreach to a friend of mine who brews beer to see if he can do a demo. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to do mead. So we'll do something about making your own happy juice at the festival just to make sure, because that's an important skill and you can trade that, right? Making mead, all I got to go out to do is go out to my hives and get the honey and I'm good to go. I can catch a yeast from the air if I need to on that.
Yeah.
So, you don't need a lot of inputs on that. Okay. Is your opinion in Camden, Tennessee? I'm not sure I understand that question, John. So is the word opinion what you were looking for?
I'm not sure what he means. I am in Camden, Tennessee.
Yes.
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 We're small town USA, middle of nowhere, population about 3,000 in the county. I live out of the city limits. I don't have a tax collector. I don't have a dude telling me I can't do something. We literally do whatever we want to do here. And we do things here almost on a daily basis that would get me arrested in San Diego. Stacking firewood, cutting down trees, whatever we want to do. It's good here. We're 90 minutes from Nashville. We're 2 hours from Memphis. I say we're kind of like an island. If you got to my interstate exit, you're another 30-minute car drive to get to us. So you've got a lot of big bodies of water between us with bridges. And you've got, 50,000 deer rifles between, Memphis or Nashville and where we're at. So mass exodus from the city, like you see in all the movies. On a good weekend day, you're driving down the highway at 85 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you stop and you're moving 5 miles an hour for two miles because Granny got a flat. Nobody fucking helped her. Imagine if there truly was a mass exodus from the city, or if there was a meltdown in the city and they're like, let's go get those farmer kids,
Right.
All it takes is 1-2 boo boo la foo foo, and you got a fender bender or two guys out of gasoline, now you're on foot. Now it's zombies and Walking Dead. I'm not going to see you for several days. Like, you're going to have to deal with all the farmers before you ever get into the middle of nowhere where we're at.
Yeah, it would take me about 10 days to get to you from where I'm at right now if I was on foot, probably.
And at that point, we're going to have National Guard, or our friends are going to have the interstate exits controlled at that point. I think you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see little sections of, counties that just lock down. Like, you're not going to come in here. You're going to be seriously lucky, or you're going to be a serious badass to get in here. We're not going to have to deal with you. And small towns, who the problems are in the small towns. I'm not going to have to deal with those guys. People in the small towns are going to go out and eliminate those people that they perceive to be immediate threats and problems. It's like, you're going to have people that just cease to exist at that point.
Also true. So Jimmy was talking about, he's signed up for classes like attack response, prepper classes, emergency trauma. Any other classes come to mind? I think people underestimate the importance of knowing how to grow your food from seeds and raise animals and livestock and process animals and do all of these things that we depend on grocery stores for. A lot of people just ignore all of that, and that's a problem. Because if you are in a situation and you have one of those cans of seeds that has been sitting on a shelf for 10 years, and that's the first time you ever grew a plant, you probably will get something, but it's not going to go well. It's John, because you have this awesome, badass aquaponics system, and you've had failures there, right?
Right. Well, failure to start. So we're outside. We don't have any climate control. We have a very small window when it will work, right? So we've got lettuce. Our lettuce looks badass right now. I've got beautiful heads of butter lettuce or whatever, because the temperatures are 50 degrees in the morning. So I've got probably a 2-month window right now when I can grow some really good lettuces and stuff in that float raft system. And then as soon as it gets super cold, nothing's going to grow in there. And then once it warms up, I'm going to have about a 2-month window again when I can grow some stuff in that system. But what he was saying, my question is, whoever said that, did you take classes at TAC Response? That is awesome. That is a gunfighting school. That's not a shooting paper school. You're going to meet a lot of people. And the cool thing about TAC Response is it's a big network. It's alumni, right? You're going to find people that live 15, 20 minutes from you that you never would have known were there had you not attended classes there. James is setting up a big bug out community. He just bought 350 acres of property out there. They just got the pond all back online. It's about 6 feet deeper now. They've got their roads cut. They have their power turned on. They've got their septic. Their well is in place and producing water. There's 3 springs on the property. Like, it's legit. Like, all the shit people talk about, they're doing that shit out there. I just took the drone out and flew over it and saw some of the scale of their operations going on the other day. It's like, but you have to be part. You won't even know about this if you're not alumni. And it all starts with a couple classes. It's like Dana, my lawyer, and James's lawyer said, he goes, really, to be a member of this crew, all you got to do is own a Glock 19, own an SOE belt, and take fighting pistol, and that's your foot in the door, and the world opens from there. I know a ton of dudes doing major business, and the thing they all have in common was tactical response. I live here because of tactical response.
Yeah. No, I just took my first class there last month, and the emergency medical class, and I went in with a goal of changing my mindset, because when I'm dealing with people who are hurt, it hurts me to hurt them to help them. And I knew I needed to address that. And just to see what this was all about. And it was like one of the best experiences I've had, even though it was also hard. Like, I realized things in myself I need to face that I haven't overcome yet. Like, I had an actual anxiety attack in this class. And I was like, well, shit, I'm glad I had that here and not when I actually needed to perform on somebody who was actually dying, right? And knowing that could be there, I now know what I need to do about it. But it was also, meeting the people in the class and the instructors was really helpful and changing the mind. I think that's more important than anything else with what's been happening as we kind of accelerate into the fascist world that they want us to live in. I might need to take fighting pistol sooner than I thought. I was hoping to wait till winter on that one.
No, you need to take fighting pistol yesterday.
I know.
And then you need to take the fight, and then rifle and shotgun. But back to what he said, the reason people do those things is because that's the fun shit. All those other things you mentioned, those things are free. Like, oh, I can't grow a garden. Bullshit. I know a chick that works for the Capitol Police, works at the Capitol building, has an apartment a mile from there, and she has a jungle growing on her little ass patio. She's got these, I can't remember the name of the company, but she's got basically these super neat 5-gallon buckets that has a watering system. So you just pour the water down and it wicks up. And you've seen the stuff we've got growing. Her stuff stomps what I'm growing. The food production she's doing on this little 6-foot patio. Well, I can't have chickens. Nope, but you can have a rabbit, and nobody will know you have that thing. You can have quail.
Rabbit, quail.
Yeah, you need to test these things, but people don't because they don't want to do the things. They want to buy the things. Buying shit's fun, and it's an endorphin release, right? So many people just spend money. I used to go. I felt good going to buy things. Now it's just you just sit in your bed, or you get stuck on Facebook, and Facebook's really good. Instagram is really good at marketing to me. I buy a lot of shit I didn't know I wanted to buy because I'm on Instagram. A lot of times I'll get up at like 4 a.m. and I'll especially on a weekend, 4 a.m. I got a couple hours before I'm going to see another human being. And before you know it, I look at the clock and I'm like, I have been on Facebook for 2 hours.
Oh no.
And accomplished nothing. So that's the thing. People buy things because it's easy. They buy things because it makes them feel good. And that's part of that not working out shit, man. You start going. It's a habit, and it's literally it's addictive. The guy that designed the programs that Instagram used, little Indian guy, he was on. I've seen him on several shows, and he said we knew what we were doing when we put the heart on there. It is an endorphin release, and it just brings you back and it gets you sucked into it. We knew what we were doing when we did it. He said, we don't let our kids have social media. Our kids, like super, like that top 1% of people, those real rich dudes, their kids don't have smartphones.
Well, and I think, watching what social media does to kids, it becomes their emotional connection to other human beings.
Yeah.
At the expense of connections to other human beings. So it's really important to foster a world that's in person, in real life. I think that's why events are so important. I looked at the fall schedule, and there are probably 6 really cool events that people can go to right now to just be in person. What you'll find when you get at one of these events, especially if you're in one of those places like Illinois, where, you've got all sorts of mandates and regulation, you go to these events and you're like, whoa, I just had a normal experience where I didn't have to worry about masked tards like attacking me for choices or defend my choice about stick or no stick or any of those things. You just go, you talk to people. Nobody asks you about your choice about if you've taken the vaccination or not. You just talk to each other and you have shared goals. And that's what I think is so important now more than ever in person, because our communications with each other are being hindered. We're being censored on the internet. Next thing you know, I'm expecting my Facebook to get shut down before the end of the year. Maybe not, but it probably will. Well, and my YouTube. And then
Tim Pool has millions on there, right?
Yeah.
And even the things he's saying, like they're gonna lock his account down. These guys kind of touchy-feely. You're like, why don't you say what you fucking mean? Because they can't, and they're making such revenue off YouTube. So I'm of the mindset, use Facebook, use YouTube, stack that money up. If you have the ability to make money right now, make as much money as you can, because I believe that in the near future, your ability to make money is going to change vastly. And the avenues that we've relied on, I don't do any advertising, right? I haven't spent a dime on advertising. I spent $675,000 on Facebook in a 1-year period. Facebook changed all the shit the next year. I never spent another dime. But when I post something when I show what we built today, I post it on Facebook and it sells out in 30 minutes, right? So I'm going to lose that ability. Now, people are lazy. Some people will seek me out. I've spent the last 3 years, Amanda's spent the last 3 years developing our email marketing list. We float between 40,000 and 60,000 subscribers. We don't ever sell. We don't ever buy a list. We don't ever put the data out. We don't ever import data. So those are all people that jump through the hoops to subscribe to the email. And then about twice a year, we actually do something that's absolutely insane. We kill a bunch of our subscribers. We whittle it down to 20,000 because people don't realize nowadays email has algorithms just like social media does. So if you're on my email list and you don't open your email, it actually gets me flagged as a mass spammer through all the and the reason this happens is because all you guys use free email servers. If you're using, Google, Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, any of those. So when I'll like literally take and we'll kill 40,000 email subscribers, but my sales will be $20,000 higher that weekend that we dropped all those subscribers because it triggers it and it puts them all back into the main folder. So people don't realize everything you do now is a game.
Yeah, it is a game, and you have to figure out the algorithm. Hey, Dean's saying, "Hey, John."
What's up, Dean?
That was one of those very full of content comments. Dean, got any questions for us? Well, I'm really looking forward to this festival for a couple of reasons. One, my network and your network haven't really interacted all that much. Some of them have, but to get us all together in one place and know how big we really are, I think is going to be fantastic, because part of the strategy or the marketing strategy right now that's making people feel anxious is that they're trying to make us seem like we're alone. And there are a lot of us out there. Look at
Rogue Food Conference, right?
Right.
How many of us were at Rogue? Hundreds?
200, yeah.
200 in that room on that one day.
Yeah.
So, and they came from all over the United States.
Right.
And that was the thing, right? We had just come off of you're not allowed to travel for Thanksgiving. You're not allowed to have more than 2 people at your house. That was all about all of you not coming together from other states and realizing you're all saying the same thing. And that is that if you're listening to this, you're not a Democrat and you're not a Republican. You are something else. And the crazy shit is they don't care what you do as long as you're on one team, Republican or Democrat, right? And there's enough of us that we don't need the Republicans or the Democrats. And the thing is, we all have the same common enemy. The guys that own the football teams, they don't care what team you root for because you're still in their stadium and you buy the jersey that comes from the same company. It's like World Wrestling Federation. It literally is scripted, and that's what all this whole thing is. And there's more of us than there are of them. The government, we don't need them. We need them to just leave us alone. We need them to go away. Really, whether you believe in the Bible or energy or karma, whatever you want to call it, the 10 Commandments really are, if you just lived by those 10 rules, society would really, for the most part, take care of itself. We don't need 100 laws that say the same thing. We don't need 100 taxes that overlap each other. Things will be handled. There will be roads because I want to drive on roads. So I will build roads, as will other people. We don't need them. And they know we don't need them. And that's why they keep throwing so much crazy shit at us to get us to fight amongst ourselves. And they've done
and we fall for it. Even this vaxxed fight, we're falling for it, right?
Yeah, this is black and white. It's black and white.
And I know so many vaccinated people who are with me on the mandates. They're like, I chose it for me. I don't care what you choose, whatever. Yeah. And like, they're willing to stand too. They're willing to get fired. I know somebody willing to get fired over not showing papers, even though they are vaccinated.
Yeah, they are hiring right now. They're hiring nurses and doctors from all over other countries right now and giving them citizenship in the United States because they know they're about to lose these people. They can no longer control them. There's going to be an us and them. There's going to be, just like Bank of America a few years ago turned off Remington Firearms'
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Banking. They've done that to a lot of people. So somebody's going to step in and set a bank up. That's going to happen. And they will send men with guns to your house in the middle of the night under the right circumstances that are willing to kill you and your family over it. If you've never heard of Black Wall Street, look up and see what Black Wall Street is. You had a group of black folks who couldn't get business loans, and they wouldn't give them permitting. So they went and they all pooled their money and bought some property, and they set up their own banks and their own churches and their own restaurants. It's the first time the government, the United States government, dropped bombs on U.S. citizens, literally dropped bombs from airplanes and burnt Black Wall Street down. Those were U.S. citizens. That wasn't that long ago, and nobody knows about that. Some of you people have probably heard about this, but you weren't taught it in school. History is being rewritten. Find a 13-year-old right now. Hell, find a 16-year-old right now and ask them what the Holocaust was, because they don't teach it in school. They don't know any longer.
Oh, my friend's kid learned that the Holocaust needed to be was as framed from the perspective. As framed from the perspective of a Cherokee from the Trail of Tears. Like they mixed those two things together in the history class, which makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
You can say atrocities happened both places, but the Holocaust was not about Native Americans.
No.
And saying that it was is disingenuous. Dean, I don't understand your question about how this thing will all work. So see if you can put that in one sentence in all caps for me. Okay. Who says this? It happened near Tulsa, Oklahoma, burned and killed Americans. So that's back to your topic.
Yeah. Sarge, adults don't even know what the Holocaust was.
Yeah.
That's true. Because, and what we do know is only told from one perspective of it. I think something, on that topic, you need to remember that a lot of the Nazis said during the Nuremberg trials when they hung them, I was just following orders.
Following orders.
You're hearing that a lot right now.
Yep.
I was just following orders. You remember that.
Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. And just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's wrong. And right. And that is the most important thing to keep in mind as you run into things, because it's easy to fall into the trap if you've been trained to follow. If you've been trained to follow, it's easy to say, well, I guess it's illegal now to turn left on a red light, so I won't do it. Well, okay, is it safe and is it okay to do that? Or, whatever. That's a very innocuous example, but things that should not be illegal, like growing tomatoes in your front yard, are illegal.
Yeah, or growing weed. I don't smoke weed. I never have smoked weed. But I think there's a lot of benefits to that shit. It's all about money. It's because somebody lobbied the alcohol companies, the pharmaceutical companies. They don't want weed. It competes against them. Look how many people say that they have found cures for cancer. Look how many people have committed suicide. In an 18-month period, 120 some doctors who had made some kind of allusion or claims to curing cancer, they all mysteriously committed suicide in an 18-month period.
Yeah.
Why? They all had a ton of shit to live for. And it's miraculous that a lot of the people who commit suicide are right-handed but shoot themselves with the left hand in the head. I mean, none of it makes any sense.
It's not meant to make sense. They're not even trying to hide what they're doing anymore.
No, I believe that you have people that do things for different reasons that are bad for us, do things to us for different reasons. But I think at the very highest level, they all get together and they're like, I'm going to do this. Oh, yeah? Well, I'm going to do this. And they just run up each other and take a bet over it.
Hold my beer, man. Hold my beer.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah,
Interesting.
I believe that.
I hadn't thought of it that way. We're in the world's biggest game of hold my beer right now. It kind of feels like that, though, because the frightening part is the acceleration. But I become a lot less scared when I see the people who are already ready. And the openness that those people have to helping other people get ready now. In 2020, when a lot of people opened their eyes, what I saw from the prepper community was like, all right, come along. We'll show you how to get started. And the same thing's happening right now where, we're restarting our, I call them startup or small business working groups, where I get a bunch of people who realize they need to make their own money on their own because they can no longer depend on their job for income. And that's becoming apparent to a lot of people who have government jobs, work for government contractors, or are at a company that has more than 100 people right now. They're like, well, crap, I still need to pay the mortgage. Okay, well, you better start side hustling. So let's get a working group to help you get started, so other people in your same, place can help you troubleshoot barriers that come up, because barriers always come up when you start something, and you just got to bust through them, go over them, or go around them, or you'll never get anywhere.
Yeah, comfort breeds complacency, and that's what it is. A lot of people are comfortable. A lot of guys that have jobs would make way more money working for themselves.
Yeah.
But they don't. How many people have the ability to make money that are not making money, especially in the last year, the last 2 years? I mean, the government bought all these people, and what did it cost? What did it cost to buy these people? What did they get on their stimulus check? $1,200? Where did that money go? Like most people have nothing to show for that. They got
paid down debt with that.
They got some fake Louis Vuitton. I heard a guy on Tim Pool's show last night before, and he said, I've been flying a lot. A lot, and all these people got these stimulus checks. He goes, they didn't pay their bills with it. Louis Vuitton stock went up almost 80% during that 2-year period, because you have low income mindset people who went and bought some stuff, and now it costs $36 to fly to Las Vegas, and you can stay for the weekend in Las Vegas for $100. You have all kinds of fights on the airline. You've got just rowdiness and crazy shit going on at the airports. Las Vegas looks like fucking Jerry Springer, because you have people that got a little bit of free money and they didn't do anything for them with it. They took their neighbors and their kids to Las Vegas, and it literally is like, it's like Jerry Springer is what he was saying.
Interesting. Okay, I got a question from Aaron here. When applying for jobs when you're moving across the country, I'm going to paraphrase, what are the best options? Rent a house, then look, or what's the best step for somebody who's nervous?
Somebody who's nervous, you're not.
Basically, you got somebody who's moving. They don't have somewhere to live yet. How do they look for a job?
They're not. That guy's not going to do anything. I don't know who he is. I have dudes that come here and pack up a carload of shit from Alaska and drive up. And when I get to work in the morning, they're out at the gate. I'm like, what do you want? I'm here to get a job. I'm here to work for you. I've had people come here, and I'm like, where are you staying? I'm going to stay in my car. For how long? Till I have the money to do something. I have people who have driven across the United States to work here and literally just brought a carload of stuff. Those dudes typically make it. The guy that's worried about all that other stuff, those are excuses. He's already talking himself out of it. I'm not the guy. I'm not the kid glove guy. See, yeah. I made millions of dollars. I had when I went to prison. A lot of you guys probably don't know. In 2003, I was on CNN for 3 days. I had 12 agencies execute federal search warrants at my building, and I'm on CNN literally for 3 days in a row. And I went to prison. I went to Lompoc prison for 22 months. When I left, I had hundreds of thousands of dollars in accounts receivable. When I came home, I got served divorce papers and restraining order. I never was able to go back to the business that I had started for over a decade. I also had no access to bank accounts. I had no driver's license. I had no social security number. I had nothing proving who I was, and I'm in a halfway house. To get out of the halfway house, I have to have a job. I got served divorce papers and a restraining order 30 minutes after I got to the halfway house. 30 minutes after that, I started looking for a job. I talked a pizza company into giving me a job as a delivery driver, having no driver's license, no insurance, no proof of who I was. I said, I will come work for you. Give me a week to get my documentation in order. You don't even have to pay me. Mm-hmm. So I said, I want to work for you for 6 months. I will be the best employee you have. And 5 years from now, you're going to say, I wish I had John still working here. And they took a chance and they gave me the job. I had 2 more jobs doing pizza also. Within a 2-week time, I was working 80 hours to get out of the halfway house. So after about a month, I was able to go to my mom's house, yet still had to pay the halfway house for another 6 months. So I'm paying for a bed that I'm not using. And I started all that over. I was on probation for 3 years, federal probation. I called up the company that I bought a bunch of materials from. I said, hey, you guys know who I am. You know we've done millions of dollars in business. I need you to trust in me. I don't have any money to buy materials. I need you to send me some samples that I can build some stuff with. I'm going to start over, and we're going to do millions of dollars in business again. Mm-hmm. They sent me a couple small boxes of stuff. I did that with everybody. Some people sent me stuff, some didn't. And I just started. Within James Yeager heard I was home. He got together with some of the guys. They pulled together $2,000 and next dayed it to me in a cashier's check FedEx. And James said, this is $2,000 deposit on gear. Build whatever you want, whenever you want to build it, whenever you can, and pay us back. And if you're not starting your company, thanks for what you've done in the past. It's a gift. I paid James back within 6 weeks, had that $2,000 paid off, was still working 80 hours a week and working out of my mom's garage, starting the company over again. So I don't do well with what ifs.
Yep. And I happen to know the person who asked that question, and I would say, I know that your partner is already looking for a job, so just keep looking for the job. That's,
Stop looking for the fucking job and go work. Can you walk?
Well, the person is already working. They
push a lawnmower. I mean, there's plenty of shit. People are lazy, and people will be more than happy to pay you to do things they don't want to do. And if you come in to mow a lawn and you actually sweep up all the grass clippings in addition and roll the hose up, always give a little more than what you're expected to do, and they will always call you back.
Yeah, I know somebody in a similar situation where one spouse got the job first and moved and found the place, and then the rest of the family moved, and they had to be real tight on budget because there was rent one place and a house to sell somewhere else.
I have a lady.
It is a decision. I do agree with that.
You met Rosie. Rosie's here right now sewing.
Yeah.
We taught her how to sew. She'd never sewed on a sewing machine before she came here. I want to say she came from New York. I want to say her husband and son are still in New York. She is here. She has a house rented, and I believe they're waiting on the furniture to be shipped in right now.
Yeah. I met her at your party in July. I really enjoyed talking to Rosie.
And she saw some of my live feed videos, and she's like, I want to come work for you. I'm like, awesome. 1,000 people say that. Be the one that shows up. She walked through the door. I'm like, who the fuck are you? She's like, I'm here to work for you.
And now she is. Now she is.
Yeah. And she's doing better than some of my people who've been here longer than her.
Yeah. And, if you're thinking of moving to Tennessee, coming to the Self-Reliance Festival is a great idea on October 23rd, because that gives you a chance to check Tennessee out and get to know some of the people here, but also some people in both of John's and my network. And I think, more than learning the skills that you can learn at something like this, meeting the people, I think that's, like meeting Rosie was a huge boon on the day I came to your party in July. And I met a handful of other people there that I'm really glad I met them. And meeting people in person and being able to, shake hands and look in their eyes and see if you trust them makes a big difference.
Look, guys, there's $1,000 an acre property here. You're not going to want any of it. The property you want is $5,000 an acre. If you can't figure out how to get $5,000, most of the time, not always, most of the time people tell me I can't afford that. When you look at their Facebook profile, they've got 2-3 cars they're paying on. They've got multiple cars in the driveway. You dig a little further, you see they've got a bunch of guns. Everybody has something to sell. There is always something you can sell, almost always. So if you want to make it happen, you'll make it happen. I got a father, son, and daughter that came here in a school bus, peak, like right when all the COVID shit started. They were headed to Alaska, and they couldn't get to Alaska in the school bus because they couldn't get into Canada. So they showed up here. Just like always, I drive up in the morning, and there's a giant school bus sitting in the driveway. I'm like, what the fuck is this going to be? And he goes, hey, I saw your video, and I'm here to work for you. I'm like, okay, what do you do? Anything you want me to do? I go, yep, everybody says that. Except he did.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I've got a kid and I'm going to bring my kid to work. You don't have to pay him until you decide he's worth paying. I'm like, all right. So he brings the kid. The kid and the fucking dad are amazing. The daughter stays at the school bus for a couple weeks. I'm like, why don't you bring her in here at least? She can play with the animals or whatever. We end up teaching her to sew. She probably sews better than half of my staff right now who's been here. I have people that have been here 10 years, and this kid outperforms some of these people. And the father and son have put up all these structures, fenced all this property, dug that 3 million gallon pond. Like, I've never seen anybody work like they work. And I tell them, I go, you should be working for yourself. You would make way more money working for yourself, just doing handyman stuff. Do what you do for other people. Find out what everybody charges and charge 50% more. You can make a killing here if you do two things. Show up when you say you're going to show up and do what you say you're going to do. And whatever if the average guy's charging $1,000, you tell him it's 15. Well, that's 50% more. Yep, I'm the best. All you got to do is get one or two jobs, and you won't ever have to advertise, because the dude with the money to pay you 50% more than everybody else, he also has the friends. I got a buddy owns a meat market. He's like, man, I'm selling out as fast as we can cut the heat. Live animals come in one side.
Yeah.
They process them. They hang. I think he can hang 40 cows at a time. He's like, as fast as we process this meat, we open the door, we unlock the door at 9 o'clock. We're sold out by noon. I go, raise your prices. He's like, yeah, we get these ladies that come in and they're like, it's too expensive. I go, that's not your target market. Like he brought me tomahawk steaks. They're like this big. I mean, like they're this big. And I go, dude, I pay $150 for that steak at any restaurant. You can't buy that steak for under $80. I go, charge more. You're not looking. I go, everywhere you drive down a dirt road here, you have people that have come from New York and California, and they've sold their $400,000 house for $1 million. They're building all these mini mansions and shit. I go, they came here with money. You have enough customers with money to be the expensive meat guy. You don't need to deal with somebody that's bringing meat. Like literally, I've never heard of somebody buying steaks and brought them back and wanted a refund because they decided it cost too much. Like you couldn't fucking do that at Walmart.
No. I know somebody who's brought back pork because it tasted like it had boar taint, but
I could see that. But I mean, even at that point, you can't resell that shit.
Yeah. No, you can't. It's been in somebody's house.
Yeah, somebody could have poisoned it.
Yep. Cool. Well, okay, so let's go back to the event because we're coming on an hour here. We might want to wrap up soon. Why do you think people should come to Self-Reliance Festival, and what's happening after? That's important too.
Well, so we have an SOE party. If you go on my YouTube channel, I got 2,600 videos. If you just type in party on my channel, you'll see some of the previous parties. It's just kind of a get together. We've had events where we've had 900 people on the property. The last one we did zero advertising. I didn't even tell anybody we were doing it until a week away from it. We had 250 people show up last time. The last time everybody wanted to see all the homestead stuff we've been doing. Yeah. So they showed up all day long. I just did property tours, just walking around. Here's this, here's that, here's that, here's that. So we're having the same kind of little party afterwards. We call it a party, get together, whatever. People watch my videos. They're like, I want to come hang out with you. I don't hang out. You won't ever see me sitting down with friends at a restaurant. If you see me sitting with somebody who is friends at a restaurant, there's a bunch of business shit happening at the same time. That's what I do. If you want to sit and talk to me, the party is the only time where you're going to get any face-to-face where we sit and discuss whatever you want to discuss. And if you make it interesting, because I'll get up and go find something else to do if that's it. And because of that last one, so many people came in. I said, I just feel like people come here all the time. And I'm like, what are you doing here? They're like, we came to see SOE. I'm like, I don't have a Ferris wheel. I don't have Shamu. I feel like I let people down. I want it to be, more value to them if they're driving here. So I said, Nicole, I want to do one of these prepper things. I want to do some kind of expo and give people more. I wanted them to walk away with something more. Rather than everybody comes here and buys shit, but I want them to take something home they can actually do themselves, right? So Nicole said, how involved do you want to be? I said, I want to be involved, so involved that Nicole puts it all together and we just do it here. And she's like, I gotcha. So,
yeah. Followed by, here's what we're doing. Is that okay? He was like, yes.
You're going to meet a lot of people, and my people, I say my people, the people that come to all of my events. You're going to meet a bunch of other people who are actually doing this stuff. You're going to meet people who live with no electricity and have been fine for the last 5 years doing it. You're going to find people who have money and live with no electricity, and you're going to find people that just live with no electricity. You're going to see every aspect. You're going to see both sides of it. You're going to meet a lot of people that just get things done, and you're going to walk away with new knowledge. You're going to walk away with new things in hand, and you're going to walk away with new friends. And I plan to keep doing this. We're going to do this a couple times a year. Originally, I'd said, Nicole, I want to do a hog slaughtering. Yeah. We got 2 guys from Appalachia going to come in. Do you know that you can process hog, put it in salt inside a wooden box, and 7 years later, you can still eat those hams? That sounds pretty good. Refrigeration is a big thing. I have huge freezers here, huge freezers, multiples. But if the power goes out, I've got a bunch of spoiled meat 3 days later. So how do you live without that? And that's what it started as. Well, we can't do a hog processing because the temperature's still too hot to do it. So we're going to do something like that around January. So Nicole said, hey, let's do these things. And that's kind of how this works. This is going to turn in, you guys show up and you get some decisions on how the next one goes. You want to be a part of what we're doing? You have something to add? Come on in. And, this thing could become, it starts as one thing, but it might become something completely different next year. Let's see what it becomes.
And we're calling it a festival because it needs to be fun, but it needs to come from the people who are there so that we can best just facilitate what you want to learn, but also highlight what you already do. Because I know you guys, you already have these skills that we talk about. Somebody earlier may ask about, how do I do first aid in this situation? That person might be a carpenter who can show me how to figure out the rise of stairs if I want to put in stairs on my deck. All of these things that have, we were joking the other day calling it the, we're living in a time where poor redneck skills are what we all need to have, right? Where you have to fix it rather than outsource it. Those skills are highly sought after, hard to find, and we can learn them, and we can learn them together and see what other people are doing. Plus, I also know a lot of you guys make really cool things and you sell those things. I was very at your party seeing just a couple of people there selling stuff and the things they make by hand. Awesome. Come sell those things. We'll buy from each other. And that's how we start our economy. Jaggy was asking earlier about barter. This may be where barter starts, right? I'm sure money works. I know crypto works for me. And trading coffee for smoked salt was one of the awesome trades I made there. I got some coasters that your coaster printer person does for some coffee. I love barter. And I think we can really start a fun little vibe. I'm hoping some musicians and some food carts might show up too, but we're trying to find some people right now.
Awesome.
So get your tickets. The website's up here, livingfreeintennessee.com. If you just go to the homepage, there's a button, or if you go /self-reliance festival, it'll take you straight to the page. $30 in advance, $50 at the door.
I know we've got guys, because I'm like Dean. I know Dean sends me, I see video and pictures from Dean. Like that dude has a farm and builds all kinds of shit. Makes his own pipes out of bamboo kind of stuff. Makes arrowheads, does all kinds of crazy things. So come on down and teach some of that. Like some of the guys I talk to on a regular basis through social media, I'm like, man, we're not doing nothing here. Like we don't get anything done during the day compared to what some of these guys do. So come on down. You've got value. You've got something to teach. And a lot of people think, oh, I don't know what I would teach. What do you do every day? Somebody would. If so many people, man, just the things you do on a daily basis, if you just made a video about it and just showed people what you do, you'd be surprised how many people want to watch what you do.
Yeah. I started a podcast because I can can food. And now I've got 2,500 listeners, right?
Yeah.
Just from talking about what it's like on a homestead. People are interested in these things.
Yeah,
People who do it are really glad to find other people who do it, right?
Yeah, we can all kinds of shit after coming out to your thing, and all of a sudden, boom, we're canning tons of stuff.
Yeah.
I've got tons of beats I need to can right now.
Yeah, we should just do a beat canning day. If you still got those in October, we might have to make that the thing we can.
Yeah, maybe. We need to get them out of the ground pretty fast.
Anybody interested in learning to make arrowheads? Probably.
That's the dude. He's got a lot of other shit to teach other than arrowheads.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to say before we sign off, John?
No, I do a live feed every night at 9 o'clock on Facebook here. Join us. You'll love things I say. You'll hate things I say. At the end, though, you'll know exactly what I thought. And if you don't like what I said, then make your own videos and say whatever you want to say. I've been doing this for 35 years. I have staying power. I know what works. I know what doesn't work. And a lot of the times you go and you listen to people talk, or you take some class on business skills or something, the guy teaching you, he's never done any of the things he's teaching you. If I'm telling you something, I've done everything I've told you about how to do or whatever. And I make videos. Watch them or don't watch them. But if you ask me a question, I'll tell you if I know. If I don't know, I'll find somebody that does know. And I think that we watch a lot of people on social media and videos and stuff, and you come to find out that it was all bullshit. I believe I should have evidence of everything I say. So if I tell you something, that's why I make videos. I just walk around and show you things. I believe that if I'm telling you how to do something or giving you advice, I should have evidence of me doing it. And I won't tell you how to do anything that I haven't done.
And there's nothing more satisfying than working your ass off all weekend preserving food and then making a video about this giant collection of canned goods or whatever it is you did. It's very, that's kind of fun too, because you're like, woohoo! This is like food security for a month I just did in a weekend. So those things are great. Okay, well, we're going to end, guys. Come join us October 23rd at the Self-Reliance Festival. Get your tickets while you can, because we are also able to sell out of tickets. So grab them while you can get them. livingfreeintennessee.com/self-reliance festival. Bye.